Well, as I said, a banner edition of the Drive-Thru. Enough to make a man go insane. Speaking of which, I don't know if I could drive you completely insane and play you the Wrestle Dream Media Scrum audio just yet.
Oh boy.
Why don't we start with something fun and stupid?
I thought we already had, but go ahead.
I've been going through some promos and watching some stuff to enjoy from 84 and 85 WWF. And specifically the Roddy Piper Jimmy Snuka feud and the build-up to WrestleMania. So I got a few promos here, and you may hear the gardener in the background. Like, I don't even know where they could be at this point.
Are you saying that Tito Santana was the gardener?
That's not what I was saying, Jesse the Body. You could stop with that right now.
Chico Santana.
But I have a few promos here that were interesting, and you probably never heard them because I think at least one of them here is a local promo from Boston.
Well, yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time in Boston back in those days.
But this is building up a show at the Boston Garden, the summer of 84. This is from July 21st, 84. Here's Roddy Piper. We'll play this first. Give it a sec. Give it a sec. I don't know what the an error occurred. What the fuck? Hold me refresh. God damn it.
Chase, you don't have any hair on your balls if you don't leave all this in.
He doesn't make that decision. Hold on. Here's Roddy Piper.
You're talking to Piper's Pit. You see, I'm a nice guy. The problem in being a nice guy is goofballs, young wenches that are trying to be something. Go ahead and take advantage of you. Like Loopy Lopper, huh? The female entertainer of the year. Till she got my show. She goes out and decides what she's going to do is she's going to get Wendy Richter, and they're going to have this big fight. Going to go against Captain on his own ground, own turf. Captain's got the great moolah, the World's Heavyweight Championship, and it's all on the line right now. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I know who's going to win. I know Mola's going to eat her lunch. Possibly something may happen to Wendy's throat. Something may happen to Cindy's throat. If I was there and something happened to Cindy's throat, Cindy Lauper, you couldn't sing no more, could you? What I'm going to do is because the pit got out of hand, I decided to quit just for a while, but I'll tell you what I'll do. Come next week, I'm myself here, right here on the pit. I'm going to have the winner of the World's Heavyweight Championship. Moolah, of course. Got something else to tell you.
Well, let me stop it there for a second. He's about to talk about other things, but there's him just building up the upcoming match, which was a big deal at the time, obviously, on MTV. Moolah versus Wendy Richter.
Yes, which he was an integral part of. And you know, that's the thing about Piper, and you can see it there. Part of it is visual with the faces he's making and the physical inflections he put into his delivery, where you could tell that this was a guy that was not, or you would think this guy was not completely in possession of his faculties, but that he's doing this off the top of his head, which he was, but that he meant it. But even in audio, he was a guy that, even if some of that is gibberish, you were listening to him. You were drawn into what he was saying, and he was getting the issue and the match and the thing over in his own inimitable way. Nobody else could fucking do that. And it was just him, and it was natural, and that was why he was so unique.
And in this era, you didn't see too many guys just by themselves with a microphone. Now we're used to guys taking the microphone of the announcer, leaving the ring.
That's why. Because when in the 80s especially, the territories, I mean, you always had fucking, teenage fans in their bathroom with a pencil or a hairbrush or whatever, right? Doing the promos. But in the 80s, the television got so big and the personalities got so big that led to the next generation of people that wanted to be wrestlers, wanting to imitate the select few like Piper that were good enough where you could just give them a microphone and say go with no announcer and no set time and whatever the case.
Well, let's go back to this now. And I want to bring up too, it has a look that I like. Very minimalist at the time in 84. Black background. In the upper right corner is the WWF logo. and the wrestler really pops out because of that. But let's go back to Roddy Piper.
Just to let you know, sometimes you really don't know what you're talking about. I got me a letter here. Letter reads very simple. Dear Mr. Piper, I'm writing to ask your forgiveness for the actions of Jimmy Snuka. Please do not beat him up anymore, because he is a great man and he is hurt. Sometimes he cries at night. I know. I can hear him. Because you see, he's my daddy. I love him very much. Please don't hurt him no more. You take your daddy, man, because I am.
So again, you want to talk about the change in tone. He goes from being all fired up about Moolah and Cyndi Lauper and Wendy Richter into sitting down, getting quiet, and pulling out this letter from, allegedly, Jimmy Snuka's child.
Now, and did you say, was this a local promo for Boston?
I believe so, although he said here, Piper's Pit, it's not on the Piper's Pit set, it's on what was the WWF local promo interview set of mid-1984.
Well, here's the thing, and we've talked about local promos in the past and different ways that they were done. We talked about in Crockett's territory, it was every Wednesday at Crockett's office, like 9 o'clock till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And in Mid-South, it was at Channel 3 in Shreveport, Wednesdays. For whatever reason, Wednesdays were a cursed day. And we'd go 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 or 4, whatever, in the afternoon. And you talk about being minimalist. Other territories, Memphis, we haven't talked so much about the local promos, the way they were done in Memphis. It was literally in the locker room at the Mid-South Coliseum with Lance Russell standing there with a stick mic, with Randy West usually on camera. Before that, it was Mike Shields, in front of a black sheet taped up to the wall. Because that was, they had a couple of lights on light stands, and instead of shooting the concrete wall, they put up a black sheet. And that covered up a lot of sins. It was like the television production version of, fucking cholesterol medicine. And a lot of other places did that also, especially when we did it in Smoky Mountain, when we shot the local promos in different places. Sometimes it was Knoxville at the Coliseum in the locker room. Sometimes it was Morristown. It was usually somewhere in the periphery of Knoxville, because that's where our production was being done. But besides the local promos that were selling the local house shows this Tuesday night at the Gardens or whatever, that would be the place where if a top guy was going to be booked out to another territory, and like if Lawler was going to Florida, or if Dusty is in Florida but he's going to Georgia or whatever, that's where they would cut promos for those dates, and then you would send them to that territory and they would insert them into their television show. So that's why you saw sometimes clips that you recognized if you were a fan or regular viewer of another territory show. You would recognize it when it popped up in another region somewhere. So Piper could have just sat down and done some of those. And the way he ended hard, I would have to think it was at least a local promo slot, because that was a hard in and a hard out. It was commercial time. But, a lot of times in those days when they were sending tapes to a variety of stations, had different deals or whatever, they might just shoot promos and stick them in something. So you never know. But that's how those guys, not only the top stars that would send promos and talk people into the building in another territory, but it's how they got so good at doing promos at all. Because think about this. If you've got to do TV promos, 2 per show for 30-something different markets, like Crockett was doing it, and then they do generics for the ones he wasn't running. Or Watts had 20-something television shows in different markets. If there's guys doing 4 and 5 takes to fucking get it out, they ain't coming back the next week. Right? So all of these things were done. If there was a technical problem or somebody accidentally cussed, you did it over. Otherwise, you just fucking did it. And if you couldn't do it, you weren't going to be doing it the next week because you couldn't hold the whole process up like that.